She was forced to marry an infertile and paralyzed billionaire CEO. Her womb carries his first triplets. Iris never imagined she'd marry a stranger, especially not a man who might never love her. Everett is a billionaire CEO confined to a wheelchair and told he can't have children. Forced into marriage, they are bound by a contract, but fate has its own plans for their hearts. But before we dive into today's story, my beautiful family, there's something heavy on my heart I need to share with you. You know, every single day I pour my soul into creating these stories for you. I stay up late, I write with passion, I rework every scene until it feels just right. But I'll be honest with you, what still bothers me, what truly hurts sometimes, is seeing how many of you watch the videos, feel the love, but still haven't subscribed. We're trying to reach 700 subscribers in the next 3 days, and we can't do it without you. So, if you've been enjoying our stories, if they've moved your heart, made you cry, made you feel something, please, take just a second to hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing, but it means everything to me. Tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? Let's connect across borders, cultures, and time zones, because this is more than a channel, this is a family. Now let's begin. Iris Bennett's hand trembled slightly as she stood at the cold, marble altar of a nearly empty courthouse chapel, dressed in a simple, modest ivory gown. She glanced nervously at Everett Sinclair, the billionaire tech magnate seated stiffly in his wheelchair beside her. His chiseled jaw was clenched tightly, his expression distant yet undeniably handsome. Despite the physical toll of his paralysis, Everett exuded authority, every inch a powerful CEO accustomed to controlling his world. Just 2 weeks ago, Iris had been leading a modest life, working tirelessly as an assistant curator at a struggling local museum. But one careless moment, a spilled coffee, and a distracted glance at her phone had irrevocably changed everything. Now, she found herself bound to a man whose green eyes burned with resentment every time they met hers. "I pronounce you husband and wife," the judge intoned emotionlessly, breaking her spiraling thoughts. Iris swallowed hard as Everett merely nodded without looking her way. There was no kiss, no exchange of rings, nothing warm or tender to suggest this was a marriage in anything but name. It felt transactional, cold, more like signing a business deal than entering into matrimony. Outside the courthouse, the world continued obliviously around them. Everett maneuvered his wheelchair toward a sleek black limousine parked at the curb. Iris followed awkwardly, the unfamiliar click of her heels echoing on the sidewalk. A suited chauffeur opened the door, offering Iris a polite nod. Inside the limousine, silence thickened painfully. Finally, Everett turned, pinning her with an icy stare. "Understand something clearly, Miss Bennett," he began, his voice sharp. "This arrangement is strictly business. You fulfill your obligations, and in return, your financial and legal troubles vanish. I don't expect anything more, nor should you." "I understand," Iris replied quietly, forcing her voice to remain steady. Despite herself, she felt a pang of disappointment she couldn't explain. Perhaps somewhere deep inside she'd hoped for compassion or at least basic human warmth. Upon arriving at Everett's lavish estate, a sprawling mansion overlooking the sea, Iris was immediately struck by the opulence that surrounded her. A marble staircase swept upward, ornate chandeliers glittered overhead, and vast windows opened to views of meticulously maintained gardens. Yet it all felt empty, devoid of life or warmth. An elderly housekeeper, whom Everett curtly introduced as Mrs. Matheson, showed Iris to her quarters. Her new room was beautiful but lonely, a gilded cage filled with silence and unspoken sorrow. Dinner that evening was formal and strained. The clinking of silverware and occasional polite inquiries about the food masked the tension that hung in the air. Eventually, Iris spoke up, breaking the painful silence. "If there's anything I can do to make your recovery easier." Everett sharply cut her off. "You're not here to help me recover, Iris. You're here because you have no other choice. Let's not pretend this is charity." His words stung, but Iris held his gaze defiantly. I'm aware of why I'm here, but that doesn't mean we can't show basic human decency. Everett's green eyes narrowed slightly, surprise flickering behind his cold demeanor. He said nothing further, leaving the table shortly after, retreating to his private wing. The next day, Iris sought refuge in the mansion's extensive gardens, sketchbook in hand. Art had always provided solace, helping her process complicated feelings. Yet today, even drawing felt hollow. Lost in her thoughts, she didn't hear Everett approaching until his voice startled her. "You draw?" he asked curtly. She turned sharply, embarrassed. "Yes, it's something I've always enjoyed." He hesitated, then wheeled closer, glancing down at her sketch, a delicate portrayal of roses entwined around a broken hourglass. For a moment, vulnerability flickered in Everett's gaze. "Your technique is impressive," he admitted reluctantly. Then the vulnerability vanished, replaced instantly by his usual rigid composure. "There's a studio upstairs. Mrs. Matheson can show you. You might as well use it." Iris felt a tiny glimmer of hope at this small kindness. "Thank you." He merely nodded, turning away again. She watched silently as he navigated the winding garden path, a proud man forced into circumstances he clearly despised. For the first time since meeting him, Iris saw beyond his hardened exterior. His bitterness stemmed from deep wounds, not just physical, but emotional. Days slowly became routine. Iris spent hours in the studio Everett had offered, pouring her conflicted feelings onto canvas. Everett remained distant, but occasionally, she'd catch him lingering at the studio entrance, silently observing her work. He never spoke in those moments, but his presence became oddly comforting. One evening, after a particularly taxing therapy session that left him visibly drained, Everett paused at the studio door longer than usual. His voice, when it came, was softer than before. "Why roses?" he asked, glancing at her latest piece. Iris hesitated, studying his face. "They represent hope. Even after harsh winters, roses bloom again." Everett's eyes softened fractionally. "I stopped believing in second chances long ago." She met his gaze evenly, compassion warming her words. "Maybe it's time you start again." He held her eyes for a lingering moment before nodding quietly and retreating. As Iris returned to her painting, a small seed of understanding blossomed in her heart. Maybe their forced union was not a punishment after all, but a chance for both of them to heal from their shattered promises. Days passed into weeks, gradually dissolving the icy distance between Iris and Everett. Iris spent her mornings in the studio, creating artwork that reflected her complex feelings about this unconventional arrangement. Everett attended grueling physical therapy sessions, each leaving him more exhausted and withdrawn than the last. Despite his insistence on maintaining emotional distance, Iris frequently found herself drawn toward Everett's private rehabilitation room. One afternoon, hearing the faint sound of labored breathing, she quietly peered through the open door. Everett sat slumped forward in his wheelchair, fists clenched, a shadow of despair clouding his expression. Iris stepped in cautiously. "Can I help you?" He stiffened immediately, attempting to mask his vulnerability. "I didn't ask for assistance." "Everyone needs help sometimes," Iris replied softly, moving closer. Everett glanced away, frustration evident. "I've relied on myself my entire life. Accepting help now feels like admitting defeat." Iris hesitated briefly before placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Accepting help doesn't make you weak, it makes you human." Everett exhaled deeply, visibly conflicted, but he didn't push her hand away. For the first time, he allowed her presence in his world without resistance. Iris knelt beside him, slowly guiding his tense muscles into the therapeutic exercises she'd observed from a distance. Silence enveloped them, yet it felt peaceful rather than strained. When she stood to leave, Everett's voice halted her. "Stay, please," he said quietly, not meeting her gaze. "Just for a while." Surprised but touched, Iris took a seat beside him, neither speaking. They sat quietly, the warmth of companionship bridging a gap that once seemed unbridgeable. From then onward, Everett no longer objected when Iris joined his rehabilitation sessions. Gradually, he opened up, revealing glimpses of his past, a strict upbringing that valued success over happiness, relentless pressure from his father, and the haunting loneliness despite vast wealth. One evening, as a gentle rain tapped rhythmically against the mansion windows, Iris prepared tea, joining Everett by the fireplace. Comfortably settled, he surprised her by initiating conversation. "You mentioned once that you worked in a museum," Everett said, sipping the tea she'd prepared. "Why did you choose art?" Iris considered the question carefully. "Art gave me a voice when words couldn't. My parents died when I was young, leaving me uncertain of my place in the world. Painting became my escape, my way of expressing feelings I couldn't articulate." Everett studied her thoughtfully. "Loss shapes us profoundly. My mother passed when I was 15. After that, my father saw my emotions as weaknesses to be eliminated. Yet here you are," Iris responded gently, "still fighting to overcome challenges most would have given up on." Everett's gaze softened, and for a fleeting moment, Iris saw gratitude behind the barrier he usually maintained. Their quiet evenings became routine, often spent in shared silence or thoughtful conversation. Slowly, Iris noticed subtle changes in Everett's demeanor, a gentle warmth replacing his earlier hostility. She caught herself increasingly aware of his quiet strength, his intelligent humor, and the rare smiles that transformed his guarded features. One weekend, Everett surprised Iris by inviting her to accompany him into town. They visited an intimate gallery showcasing local artists. Everett maneuvered through the exhibit, genuinely interested in Iris's perspective on each painting. Her passion shone as she animatedly discussed color, composition, and emotional resonance. Watching her, Everett felt something unfamiliar: hope. "You should display your work," Everett remarked casually afterward, wheeling himself toward the exit. "You're more talented than many artists here." "Coming from you, that's high praise," Iris replied teasingly, nudging his shoulder lightly. Everett smiled openly, a rare gesture that made Iris's heart quicken. On their return home, Iris noticed Everett's thoughtful expression. Finally, he spoke. "Tomorrow is the anniversary of my accident," he admitted quietly, vulnerability coloring his voice. "I've dreaded facing it alone." Iris instinctively reached out, gently squeezing his hand. "You won't be alone." That evening, Iris prepared a quiet dinner on the balcony overlooking the gardens. The gentle glow of sunset bathed the scene, making their surroundings feel intimate and comforting. "I never expected to share this moment with someone," Everett admitted quietly, watching the fading light. "Especially someone who started as a stranger." Iris smiled softly. "Life rarely follows the paths we predict." He turned toward her, expression earnest. "I'm beginning to understand that unexpected paths can lead us exactly where we belong." Later that night, Iris lay awake, thoughts spinning as she replayed Everett's words. Her heart raced with new emotions, feelings deeper than gratitude or compassion. Though their marriage began as a forced arrangement, their fragile connection had quietly become something beautiful and real. In his own room, Everett stared at the ceiling, wrestling with feelings he'd believed lost forever. Iris had effortlessly broken through barriers he'd carefully constructed, touching parts of himself he had long buried. The realization left him exhilarated yet frightened, afraid that allowing himself to love again might bring a pain deeper than any he'd endured before. Weeks evolved into gentle months, deepening the quiet bond forming between Iris and Everett. Though their interactions remained cautious, subtle affection began threading itself through their daily routines, unspoken yet powerfully felt. Everett continued therapy sessions with determination, each day pushing harder, driven by the silent encouragement he saw reflected in Iris's eyes. Each evening, they found comfort in shared dinners, meaningful conversations, and a growing understanding of one another. One crisp afternoon, while Iris was immersed in her art studio, Mrs. Matheson appeared at the doorway with a concerned expression. "Mr. Sinclair asked you to join him urgently in the library," she announced softly. Concerned, Iris hurried downstairs, her pulse quickening with unease. She found Everett by the grand window, holding an envelope with tense fingers, his face pale. "What's wrong?" Iris asked immediately. Everett handed her the envelope silently. Inside was a formal medical document detailing test results, confirming Everett's infertility diagnosis as permanent and irreversible. Iris felt the heaviness in the air deepen. He spoke softly, voice wavering slightly. I foolishly believed I might still have a chance at normalcy. Now, that hope is gone." Iris gently placed the papers aside and knelt beside him, taking his trembling hand in hers. "Your value isn't measured by your ability to have children, Everett. You're more than any diagnosis." Everett's eyes shimmered with unspoken vulnerability. "You deserve more than a marriage built on obligation. You deserve happiness, a real family, things I can never give you." "I didn't choose how we started," Iris answered steadily, meeting his eyes. "But I'm choosing where we go from here. Maybe family isn't limited to blood, maybe it's about the connection we nurture together." A fragile smile touched Everett's lips, gratitude lighting his expression. Iris felt warmth blossoming between them, the invisible wall that separated their hearts finally crumbling. As winter approached, Iris planned a surprise, a charity gala benefiting spinal injury research, hosted at Everett's estate. Guests filled the elegant hall, murmurs of admiration flowing through the crowd as Iris gracefully addressed the audience, advocating passionately for medical advancements and celebrating Everett's resilience. From the sidelines, Everett watched proudly. Later, as the evening quieted, he drew Iris aside, emotion clearly evident. "You didn't have to do this," he whispered, deeply moved. "I wanted to," Iris replied gently. "Because you've taught me strength isn't always about standing, it's about finding reasons to keep going." Everett reached out carefully, fingertips brushing her cheek in an intimate gesture. His gaze searched hers hesitantly before he leaned forward, gently pressing his lips against hers in a kiss filled with months of unspoken emotion. The moment their lips parted, a quiet electricity lingered. Everett studied her face, whispering softly, "Forgive me if that was too forward, I simply couldn't hold back anymore." Smiling tenderly, Iris reassured him, "There's nothing to forgive. I've been waiting for you to take that step." From that night onward, their relationship transformed. Small gestures became routine, Everett bringing Iris coffee in the mornings, Iris leaving encouraging notes before his therapy sessions. Each action spoke louder than words, solidifying the intimacy between them. Soon after, Iris began experiencing unexplained fatigue and nausea. Concerned, Everett insisted on scheduling a doctor's appointment. Iris initially dismissed the symptoms as stress but eventually agreed, not wanting to worry Everett further. Days later, sitting anxiously in the doctor's office, Iris gripped Everett's hand tightly as the doctor returned with an expression of shock and delight. "I have remarkable news," the doctor began carefully. "Mrs. Sinclair, you're pregnant, with triplets." A stunned silence filled the room. Iris stared at Everett, whose face paled with disbelief, his expression oscillating between joy and confusion. "But how?" Everett stammered, bewildered. "That's impossible, my diagnosis." The doctor smiled warmly. "Medicine sometimes surprises us. Miracles happen, Mr. Sinclair, especially when we least expect them." Overcome by emotion, Iris's eyes filled with tears, joy mingling with awe. Everett's hand trembled in hers, hope illuminating his features, a hope he'd long thought lost. Back at home, Iris and Everett sat quietly together, absorbing the magnitude of their newfound reality. Everett gently placed his hand on Iris's abdomen, softening his usually reserved features. "I never believed I'd have this," he admitted softly, voice thick with emotion. "You've given me more than I ever dreamed possible." Iris leaned into his touch, smiling gently. "You deserve happiness, Everett. We both do. This is our second chance." He cupped her face tenderly. "I promise you, I'll be the husband and father you and our children deserve." Months earlier, neither had imagined their forced union could blossom into genuine love. Now, bound together by shared dreams and unexpected miracles, their hearts fully unveiled to one another. News of Iris's pregnancy brought joy, yet it also unveiled hidden complications. Everett became fiercely protective, ensuring Iris had everything she needed. Yet beneath their newfound happiness, he struggled silently with lingering doubts, fearing their miracle was too perfect to last. As Iris's pregnancy progressed, whispers began circulating among Everett's social circle. Speculations about the authenticity of the pregnancy and doubts about his infertility made their way back to him. Initially, Everett dismissed the rumors, focusing solely on Iris's well-being. But one evening, an unexpected visit reignited his buried insecurities. Samuel Grayson, Everett's former friend and business rival, arrived uninvited, an insincere smile masking calculated intent. "Congratulations," Samuel remarked coldly, eyes flickering over Iris's visible pregnancy. "Quite miraculous, given your medical history." Everett's jaw clenched. "What exactly are you implying?" Samuel feigned innocence, shrugging lightly. "I'm just concerned for you, Everett. Rumors are ugly. People question things they can't understand." Iris stepped forward protectively. "There's nothing questionable about our happiness, Samuel." Samuel smirked faintly, deliberately holding Everett's gaze. "Let's hope you're right. Secrets tend to surface eventually." After Samuel left, a heavy silence enveloped Everett and Iris. Hurt flashed in Iris's eyes as she recognized Everett's inner turmoil. "Everett," she began gently, "you don't believe him, do you?" He hesitated, struggling visibly. "I believe you, Iris. But my condition, you know how unlikely." "Unlikely, not impossible," Iris firmly interrupted. "Don't let doubt overshadow what we've built." Everett nodded, but shadows lingered in his eyes. Later, alone in his study, anxiety drove him to revisit medical records, obsessively searching for answers he already had. Iris observed quietly from afar, her heart aching as she recognized his growing doubts. Days passed, tension thickening subtly. Everett withdrew slightly, consumed by internal battles he couldn't articulate. Concerned, Iris confronted him gently one evening. "I feel you slipping away," she whispered, voice trembling slightly. "Whatever it is, Everett, we can face it together." Everett exhaled deeply, vulnerability clear. "I'm haunted by fears, Iris. What if Samuel's accusations hold some truth? What if?" "There is no what if," Iris pleaded softly, eyes bright with unshed tears. "We know our truth." Everett reached for her hand, holding it tightly. "I trust you, Iris. It's myself I'm doubting." Just then, Everett's personal physician called unexpectedly, requesting an immediate consultation. The urgency in his voice sent chills through them both. In the doctor's office, Everett's heart raced as the physician handed him a sealed medical file. "I re-examined your previous tests after your recent visit," the doctor explained carefully. "The initial infertility diagnosis wasn't entirely accurate. There was always a slim chance of fertility restoration following intense therapy." Everett stared at the doctor in disbelief. "You're saying I could have fathered these children naturally?" "Yes," the doctor confirmed gently. "The odds were minimal, but not non-existent. This pregnancy truly is extraordinary." Everett's breath caught, relief washing over him, replacing weeks of painful doubt. He turned to Iris, whose tears flowed silently, a mixture of relief and vindication. Once home, Everett took Iris gently into his arms, regret filling his voice. "Forgive me for doubting." "You needed clarity," Iris whispered, pressing closer. "We're stronger now because of it." Weeks later, during a lavish charity event Everett hosted, Samuel confronted Everett again, smugly insinuating lingering doubts. "I know the truth now," Everett responded firmly, eyes blazing confidently. "Nothing you say can shake that." Samuel's confident expression faltered briefly, replaced by bitterness. "Careful, Everett. The higher you build your happiness, the greater the fall." Everett merely smiled calmly, his confidence unwavering. Happiness built on truth can withstand anything. That evening, Everett found Iris alone on their private terrace, moonlight accentuating her peaceful beauty. He approached quietly, wrapping gentle arms around her. "I promise, Iris, from this day forward, no doubts will ever come between us again." She leaned comfortably into his embrace, eyes closed in trust. "We've faced challenges, Everett, and emerged stronger every time. Together, we can overcome anything." Everett turned Iris gently to face him, sincerity etched clearly in his gaze. "You're the most incredible gift life has given me. I'll spend the rest of my life proving how deeply I cherish you and our children." Beneath the quiet stars, surrounded by certainty and newfound peace, Everett sealed his promise with a tender kiss, their unity solidified through honesty and courage. Each obstacle faced had deepened their bond, shaping their relationship into something unbreakably beautiful and unquestionably real. The revelation erased any lingering shadows from Everett and Iris's hearts, strengthening their bond more profoundly than before. They spent the months leading to the birth in gentle anticipation, carefully nurturing their newfound peace. Everett became increasingly involved, attending every prenatal appointment, proudly announcing the progress of the babies to family and friends, his joy contagious. On a bright, warm afternoon, while working on a new painting, Iris felt a sudden sharp pain ripple through her abdomen. Alarmed yet composed, she called Everett, who quickly arrived at her side, anxiety flickering momentarily before steady determination took over. "It's time," Iris whispered breathlessly, gripping his hand tightly. Everett swiftly organized everything, comforting her with calming words as they drove to the hospital. His presence gave Iris a strength she'd never known before. The medical staff quickly attended to her, preparing for a complex but exciting delivery. In the waiting room, Everett paced nervously. Memories of his struggles and losses flashed vividly through his mind, but this time, hope outweighed fear. Hours passed, each minute feeling heavier than the last. Finally, a nurse appeared, smiling warmly. "Mr. Sinclair, you have 3 beautiful, healthy babies, and your wife is doing wonderfully." Relief surged through Everett, tears of joy blurring his vision momentarily. Entering the room, his heart expanded at the beautiful sight before him. Iris, exhausted yet radiant, held their newborn triplets tenderly, love shining unmistakably from her eyes. "They're perfect," she whispered, gently caressing their tiny faces. Everett approached, overcome by the purity of this moment. Carefully, he reached out, his fingers brushing softly against one baby's tiny hand. The infant grasped his finger, a gentle yet powerful grip that instantly captured Everett's heart completely. "They're miracles," he breathed, eyes shimmering. "Our miracles." Later, while the babies peacefully slept nearby, Iris watched Everett affectionately as he hovered protectively, adjusting blankets, checking their breathing, endlessly marveling at each small feature. "You're a natural," Iris teased gently, drawing him toward her. "I never imagined myself here," Everett admitted, tenderly pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Yet now, I can't imagine anything else." "Neither can I," Iris replied warmly. "You're exactly where you're meant to be." Returning home with the triplets transformed their lives profoundly. Everett, deeply involved in every aspect of parenting, balanced the demands of his thriving business effortlessly, prioritizing his growing family above all. Iris, thriving as a mother, continued painting with renewed inspiration, capturing their evolving family story through her art. One afternoon, while Iris prepared lunch, Everett brought her gently to their studio. His eyes sparkled mysteriously, a tender smile gracing his lips. "I have something for you," he said warmly. Curious, Iris followed him inside. On an easel stood a portrait Everett had secretly commissioned, beautifully depicting their family. Iris stared, deeply moved, her eyes filling instantly with grateful tears. "It's beautiful," she murmured softly, touched by his thoughtfulness. "I wanted something permanent," Everett explained tenderly, "to remind us daily how precious this life is." She leaned into his embrace, comforted by his steady heartbeat. "Thank you, Everett, for everything." Their story, though unconventional, had blossomed into something uniquely meaningful. Challenges had tested them, yet love and trust guided them toward joy neither had anticipated. Months later, on their anniversary, Everett arranged a quiet, intimate renewal ceremony in their cherished garden. Close friends and family gathered, their presence affirming the powerful journey Everett and Iris had traveled together. As the ceremony began, Everett stood confidently, supported only slightly by Iris's gentle touch. Facing her, he spoke with profound sincerity. "When you entered my life, Iris, I thought it was merely an arrangement. But you've shown me the deepest meaning of partnership. You've taught me love, forgiveness, and hope. My promise today is that I'll stand beside you in every challenge and celebrate every triumph. I love you endlessly." Iris responded softly, her voice filled with emotion. "Everett, you've shown me true strength and the courage to love fearlessly. You made me realize that even amid hardships, miracles exist. My promise is to cherish you, our children, and the life we've created together forever. I love you completely." Cheers erupted as they sealed their vows with a heartfelt kiss, their embrace a testament to the unwavering bond they'd forged. The gathered guests felt deeply moved, witnessing the transformation of two souls who'd journeyed from forced strangers to inseparable partners. Later, beneath starlit skies, Everett and Iris shared a private moment, observing their sleeping children, overwhelmed by gratitude. "Do you think they'll ever understand the story behind our love?" Iris wondered quietly. Everett smiled tenderly, gently squeezing her hand. "They'll understand it fully, because we'll teach them love isn't always about perfect beginnings. Sometimes, it's about choosing each other every day despite every obstacle." Wrapped warmly in each other's embrace, surrounded by the comforting presence of their family, they recognized their journey was far more beautiful than either had imagined possible. Their love story, born of necessity but cultivated by choice, now stood as proof of love's extraordinary power. Life blossomed beautifully for Iris and Everett as they settled fully into parenthood. Their three precious infants, 2 girls and a boy, filled their home with joyous chaos, laughter, and unconditional love. Each passing day strengthened their family bond, cementing a happiness neither had ever thought attainable. Everett had progressed remarkably, managing short walks with gentle support, determined never to let physical limitations overshadow the richness of his life. Iris admired his resilience deeply, often finding herself pausing in quiet admiration as he lovingly interacted with their children. Their once empty mansion now echoed with warmth. Everett surprised Iris by converting an unused wing of their home into a private art gallery, dedicated exclusively to displaying her finest works. Friends, family, and community leaders regularly visited, captivated by her talent, praising her ability to capture profound emotional depth through each piece. One calm evening, Iris stood admiring a newly completed painting, a vivid depiction of intertwined roses, symbolizing resilience, hope, and enduring love. Everett quietly approached, slipping an arm gently around her waist. I remember when you first explained your passion for roses, Everett murmured softly, how you said they always bloom again after hardship. Iris leaned comfortably against him. Exactly like us. We found a way to bloom, despite every obstacle. Everett turned Iris gently toward him, seriousness softening his gaze. You've transformed every aspect of my life, Iris. You've taught me what true partnership means, how to trust and love without fear. I can never thank you enough. You've given me the same, Iris replied tenderly. Together, we've built a life I never dreamed possible. One morning soon after, Iris noticed Everett seemed unusually anxious. Concerned, she approached cautiously, gently taking his hand in hers. What's troubling you? Iris asked softly. Everett hesitated briefly before answering honestly. I've regained much strength, Iris. Yet there's something I haven't done, something that terrifies me still. She smiled encouragingly. Tell me. I haven't danced with you, he confessed gently, vulnerability coloring his words. I promised myself I would, someday. But every time, fear held me back. Iris squeezed his hand warmly. Let's overcome that fear tonight, Everett. Together. That evening, under the soft glow of garden lanterns, Iris patiently guided Everett into standing securely before her. Their hands entwined gently, hearts beating rhythmically as soft music filled the night air. Slowly, Everett took a cautious step, guided carefully by Iris's unwavering support. Gradually, confidence grew in his movements, and soon they swayed gently beneath the stars. Tears shimmered lightly in Iris's eyes as they danced, her heart swelling with pride and boundless affection. You're remarkable, Everett, she whispered, gazing deeply into his eyes. You keep proving there's no limit to how far determination and love can carry us. His smile brightened tenderly. Only because you stood by me every step of the way. That special dance symbolized more than a physical achievement, it represented their profound emotional connection, their ability to overcome together, creating beautiful moments from difficult beginnings. On the triplets' first birthday, Iris and Everett hosted an intimate celebration. Family and friends gathered joyfully, showering affection upon the children. During the festivities, Everett stood confidently, holding their son while Iris held their daughters, as he addressed the gathering warmly. Thank you all for celebrating this remarkable milestone with us, he began sincerely, pride and gratitude evident. When I first met Iris, our circumstances were challenging, complicated, filled with uncertainty. But today, standing here, I realize our journey shaped us. It taught us strength, patience, forgiveness, and ultimately, deep, unconditional love. Everett paused briefly, emotion filling his voice. Iris, our children, and all of you have shown me that family isn't defined by circumstance but by the choices we make, the bonds we nurture. Our lives changed dramatically because we decided never to give up on each other. Applause resonated warmly as Everett concluded his heartfelt speech, turning toward Iris, whose eyes sparkled proudly. Their gaze lingered lovingly, a silent exchange communicating everything their hearts already knew. Later, as guests departed, Iris found Everett quietly gazing toward their children's nursery, lost momentarily in reflection. "What are you thinking?" she asked gently, slipping her arm around him. He turned slowly, his expression profoundly peaceful. "Just realizing how complete my life feels. I spent years chasing success, building empires, but never truly understanding happiness until you came along." Iris pressed closer, her head resting gently against him. "And now?" "Now," Everett replied warmly, "everything I ever needed is right here, with you, our children, and this life we've built together." They stood quietly, savoring the tranquility surrounding them, hearts fully intertwined. Together, they'd navigated uncertainties, fears, and insecurities, emerging stronger each time. Their love, resilient and unwavering, now formed a foundation that nothing could shake. Gently, Everett guided Iris into a slow embrace, whispering softly, "I promise you, Iris, from this moment onward, every day will be cherished. Every struggle faced together, every joy celebrated side by side. I will love you endlessly, fiercely, and faithfully. And I promise you," Iris whispered tenderly, "to nurture our happiness, protect our family, and love you completely for the rest of my life." Their kiss sealed promises shared deeply from their souls. Each understood clearly that their journey wasn't defined merely by how it began, but by the love they consciously chose every single day. Forever, they realized profoundly, wasn't simply a distant promise. It began today. Hello, my beautiful family. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey of love, courage, and hope. If Iris and Everett's story touched your heart, please support us by liking this video and sharing it with someone who deserves a reminder that love can triumph over life's greatest challenges. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What moment resonated most deeply with you? Comment below and join our community of passionate lovers. Don't forget to subscribe to Love and Twilights with Dr. Phillips and tap the notification bell, so you'll never miss another heartwarming, unforgettable story. Every story we share aims to inspire, uplift, and remind us all that true love, though tested, always finds its way home. Your engagement means the world to us and helps spread positivity, love, and hope. Until next time, keep believing in miracles, because the most beautiful love stories might just be waiting for you around the corner.